Thank you to the Goy Peace Foundation, the Club of Budapest, and the Source of Wonder for this opportunity to share about making the invisible visible by recognizing ourselves as channels for the frequency of unconditional love. I began collaborating with both the Institute of Noetic Sciences, or IONS, and the HeartMath Institute in the mid-90s while I was working at the University of California, Berkeley's Business School, helping corporations navigate the global economy while hoping to demonstrate the critical importance of what was then a new idea, corporate social and environmental responsibility. Before that, I'd been working with Business for Social Responsibility in San Francisco, and after hearing what I was hoping to accomplish at UC Berkeley, a colleague told me that I should meet the people at the strangely named HeartMath. At the same time, someone I didn't know named Welss, who was then president of IONS, which I'd never heard of, had heard what I was trying to do at Berkeley also and invited me to meet. I don't know why, but I listened to both people. Both organizations came into my life so unexpectedly, and at the exact same moment, it really was a source of wonder, and it made me curious. I had no way of knowing then, but IONS and HeartMath had one very important thing in common. Obviously, they're both scientific research organizations contributing to a tipping point in consciousness. But what they also have in common is a grounding in the power of unconditional love. Obviously, HeartMath is about love because it's about the science of the heart and a state called heart coherence, which they sometimes refer to as the physiological signature of love at the core of the human system. Coherence is love, even though we didn't talk about it that way when we were teaching HeartMath in my executive programs. Instead, we spoke of heart coherence as a competitive advantage, a highly trainable skill in personal portal into greater creativity, higher cognition, and resilience. But what I didn't know then is science is also about love. It has to be. Our founder, Apollo 14 astronaut, lunar module pilot, and sixth man to walk on the moon, Captain Edgar Mitchell, had an epiphany on his return from space about the true nature of the universe, of life, of civilization's purpose and humanity's destiny, and the essential oneness of everything. This phenomenon actually became known as the overview effect, signifying the profound shift astronauts experience when they're awestruck by the direct perception of Earth from space. In fact, this was Dr. Mitchell's inspiration for founding IONS. He wanted to understand his spiritual experience through the lens of the same rigorous science he trusted with his life by allowing it to fly him to the moon and back. Ed didn't really speak of it this way. It took me a while to learn that his epiphany showed him that love, what he and others call agape love, or what's also known as unconditional love, was the organizing principle of the entire universe. If he was right about that, and I think he was, it helps make sense of why the scientific discovery I use as the organizing principle in my own life and work feels so potent. It comes from the Nobel Prize-winning physical chemist Ilya Prigogine, also known as the poet of thermodynamics, who demonstrated that in complex systems that are far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence can shift the entire system to a higher order. If love is the organizing principle of the universe, it makes sense that our world would be far from equilibrium because much, not all of humanity, but much of humanity has been flowing against the coherent principles of nature, including our own higher nature, for a long time. And it makes sense that love would be the remedy. Those islands of coherence, if we can achieve them, will be ourselves, embodying the higher spectrum frequencies of unconditional love. And how much love will it take? Maybe not as much as we think, because we also know that the further a system is from equilibrium or stability, the less energy it takes to shift. Think of the straw that breaks the camel's back. I think Prigogine's demonstration is a scientific way of explaining what modern mystics like Thomas Hübl mean when they say that crisis and miracles are very close, or even the same thing, like two sides of a coin. Removing the thin line between crisis and miracles may require only the activation of love as the organizing principle of the universe that resides within ourselves. This is how we answer the question, what would love do? And when we do this, we're using the vibrational intelligence of our own hearts to align with the innate coherence of nature. activating the potential for what Ervin Laszlo calls supercoherence, coherent systems within coherent systems. That's probably got something to do with why the sacred texts, the Upanishads, reportedly consider the heart the fulcrum of the entire cosmos. So HeartMath and their Global Coherence Initiative and IONS are all doing important work, providing scientific evidence that it's all connected and that our inner reality shapes our outer reality, not just through the actions inspired, but more fundamentally through our energetic vibrations themselves. In a universe where everything is vibration, this makes sense. And decades of solid scientific evidence based on new technologies are making this invisible reality visible. At the same time, we don't need to wait for definitive scientific proof to act on what we already know in our hearts is possible. We don't need to wait for permission from any external authority to claim our own coherence on behalf of humanity and for the benefit of all life. We already are everything we need. Coherence is our birthright. We need only claim it to shift our world to a higher order. Thank you.